Well, how do you depict the history of a country on stage? One way is through a confrontation between two men who have diametrically opposed views of South Africa. Dr. John Kani, the great storyteller, writer and actor, accomplishes this in his remarkable play. Now, in celebration of the 25th anniversary of the nation's first post-apartheid democratic election, the play explores race, class, politics, and the unifying potential of Shakespeare. He joins me now to tell us more on this. Dr. Kani, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us in our studios today.
Thank you indeed. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's start our conversation with, how the play began itself. It begins with how do you put a nation's history on a stage? And somehow we ended up with a two-member cast, including yourself and Michael Richard. How did that come about?
When I won the Tony Award in 1975 for Best Actor on Broadway, I went there with Winston John and I said, thank you. That's all I said. The newspaper in the morning said the most powerful statement against the evil apartheid system was shown last night when he could not even say a word because he has to go back to that abhorrent country. I was detained when I got home. So I loved that opening, how do you put the country's history on stage. It started really with me having a conversation with some friends about what are we really celebrating in 25 years, 26, 27 years. And all my white friends had a list of things that don't work.
Right.
Things that should have not been that way, the corruption, the this. And I asked another friend who is black. He said, when I'm from hell, I don't care whether it's pouring rain, it's better than where I'm coming from.
Right.
Yes, we have problems. I mulled this over, and I thought if I could find a very liberal white person who believes they've done nothing wrong, who said they were not part of that evil, they never even vote for the Nationalist Party, and then trap that person in one space with someone who is black, not really political, but aware of what's going on. That's where the whole thing of Kunene and the king. It's a very simple story. This white actor who's dying of liver cancer needs to be taken care of, but he's got enough money not to go for a hospice, but to hire a nurse to look after him, in-house care. Then he's told that Sister Kun is coming to look after him. I knocked the door in the nurse's uniform with a stethoscope. He calls the police. There's a black man in my house. He's going to rob me. He's going to do this. I keep saying, I'm the nurse you ordered. He said, no, I'm expecting Sister Kun. And then Lunga says, no, I'm Sister Lunga Kunene. So that mistake, but it's brilliant. We opened it, the Stratford, in the home of Shakespeare, where I was awarded the Pregnell Shakespeare Award for making Shakespeare accessible to the broader community. And the play was also part in their 60th anniversary, top 10 highlights in 60 years of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Kunene and the King was included.
This is incredible. So with all of that, I am curious, though, Dr. Kani, about the reception at the Shakespeare Royal Company, because, the two histories are so different, yet so intricately woven together. Performing in the UK to a crowd whose history is one of, Britain colonizing South Africa, setting the course for apartheid's legal system and later our liberation, of course, and now, of course, bringing the play home, where we obviously have a very different history, a different take on events. But what was the reception like in the UK?
Oh, very brilliant. The international community has a different view when they're sitting in their comfortable homes and not claiming to have been part responsible for what's going on in Africa. And they always say, look at what the Africans doing. When they're better off when we were there. They didn't understand. The reception was brilliant because there is a huge South African contingent that's living and working abroad. They kind of bring that salt and pepper spice so that the English could understand why people are laughing, why people are understanding. But when you bring the play to South Africa, it has an immediate reaction. And I was pleased playing at the Joburg Theatre. That seats over 900 people at night, and
Yeah.
the board outside on alternative nights would say, tonight's performance sold out. And I was amazed at the young people who came to see the plays. I was one of them. Why? You've got so many things to do, social media, you can go to clubs, you can do this. He said, no, we studied your book, Nothing But the Truth, when I wrote Metric,
Yeah.
and I've been a follower of your work.
Right.
So in that way, it brings these worlds together. The part of Shakespeare really is that Lunga loves Shakespeare, studied Shakespeare while he was at school, 1959, that's me,
Yeah.
in isiXhosa, with
Right.
Julius Caesar. And then Jack, the white actor,
Yes.
loves Shakespeare and is the best Shakespearean performer in the country. In England, the role was played by Sir Anthony Sher,
Yes.
who somehow, art imitating life, also died of liver cancer.
Wow.
And the play is a tribute to my younger brother, Reverend Willie Lekani, who also died of liver cancer. So there's an emotional entanglement within me and the work itself. And now we opened at the Joburg Theatre, sold out in Durban at the Playhouse, sold out in Port Elizabeth, sold out at the Stellenbosch. We then went back now to Cape Town at the Artscape, sold out again. There's something about it that people just like.
Yeah.
And it proves that theatre will never die. People will always travel miles
Yes.
to see it if it's good. So in the play, we weave King Lear. The actor's going to do King Lear when he thinks he'll be all right, but we all know he's not going to make it, but he doesn't give up. It's that
Right.
hope of not giving up. But then living with a black person in the house creates a different experience for both of them. Small little example, I say to him, I'm going to make tea. Would you like a cup? He says, oh yes, on the cup, but on top, you'll find the cup. But at the bottom of the sink, you'll find the blue enamel mark.
Wow.
Now, who's the enamel mark for? So I make the tea, I come back, and I give him the enamel mark.
That went down well.
That went on all over the world, even in England. They said, that's it, serves you right. And then he looks at me and I says, I thought you prefer your tea in a tin mug while I'm having tea.
In a teacup.
So it's that kind of sort of subtle differences and things we hide about each other.
Right.
People say, look, I have nothing against women for as long as they stay in their place. What the hell are you talking about? I got lots of white friends. I got lots of people I like, but they don't necessarily have to be white. So those are the kind of undertoned racial cliches that you find in the play. I was examining how much have we become a rainbow nation? How much has the country become non-racial? What is the cause of this inhumanity? How can we be such so-called violent community? What happened to Ubuntu? What happened to seeing each other as human beings? One of the most important themes for me in the play is see me. Look at me and see me. So don't see what has been described of who I am. Don't see the cliches of what people think I am. Just look into my eyes and see me. Do you know what you'll see? The image of God, as we all are created in the image of God. And in that way, we find each other towards the end of the play where Lunga and Jack really realize, I see you.
Right. I'm so glad that there is such a positive conclusion to the play. But what I really love as well, Dr. Kani, is the fact that the play seems to encapsulate the mood of the country, right? Which is that even in post-apartheid South Africa, in this democratic dispensation, there's still so much uncertainty, there's still so much doubt and skepticism. You know, we have people combing through the Constitution, wondering if it ought to be the sacrosanct document that everybody says it is. Should we be pulling it apart and putting it back together again, looking a lot more different? And it's a strange place to be in for a country that had so much hope for a future. It's currently in that future, but it doesn't look the way that I think they intended it to be, or to at least look. And I get the sense that the play helps, the audience to kind of deal with those questions, that feeling of displacement almost.
Well, somehow we blown and overestimated what change would mean. You look at America now, we have the Black Lives Matter, we have Me Too, we have the killing of children in the streets, the number of people that are homeless. We had hoped that in 25 years we would have solved the world problems and become an exemplary, wonderful little cuckoo land where Alice in Wonderland walks. Then we found out after 10 years into our democracy that it's more complex than that. It's not just simple of saying this is no longer for whites only, this is for everybody. This is no longer for blacks only. This is for everybody. The problem became living our democracy, making it happen every day, guided by that incredible document called the Constitution. But the Constitution is in the middle of the road. It depends on how you interpret it. I mean, people talk about, I always say I have a wonderful marriage. I live with my wife, and I love her so much. The only problem is she's as young as she was when I met her. I'm the one getting old this side, you know. But then it does not mean that there aren't moments of conflict. It does not mean there are not moments where we feel like, I want to kill this woman. But it means that we live a lived experience. And South Africa is going through that. We're going through so many challenges, and we're going through, I always say, we bought a broken country, and we thought in 25 years we would have fixed it. Yes, we tried. Yes, we're doing the right thing. Yes, we're on the right course. But there are so many challenges. Some of them are stupid, like corruption. How do you take from nothing? What do you think is going to be left when you take from nothing? It's a deficit. So many of the provinces, communities are operating on a loan basis. You get money from the fiscal treasury. You only pay debts. You don't move forward and build new roads, potholes, and build theaters, and build hospitals, build schools, get rid of pit toilets. It's like a list that drives me crazy.
Endless.
But the point is, we are not where we were in the past. We are where we are now, and it needs all of us put that shoulder on the wheel and make this country work. And it can work because it's got good people like you and me, like everybody in the streets who walks and has a dream of a better tomorrow. Yes, it's there, almost grabbable. It's just these little hiccups. I was laughing, you were talking about people should comment whether the Guptas should be brought back. Why are you trying to tick boxes? Go get them. Send someone to Dubai, grab these two people, put them in a plane, and when they are here, we will be guilty of kidnapping, but they will be here.
Guilty of kidnapping, but they'll be here to face the music. I love that.
To face the music.
Well, we know that the play is returning. It's coming to the State Theatre. Yes. We're hoping for another sold-out show. But when exactly is it coming to the State Theatre? Do we know?
On the 13th.
The 13th
of April to the 7th of May. We're at the State Theatre with a very great friend of mine, Aubrey Sachave. You're made through in this industry with a little help from your friends, the people you know, the people you connect with. And I always do this before I do a major international tour. We're planning a USA tour. Now I'm thinking I've got to touch all bases. And when I got a bit of funding from the Department of Arts and Culture, to tour the play, because it's impossible to move a play. You know, you think it's two people. It costs more than R1 million just to put those two people on stage. So this time I'm saying, all right, we've done Pretoria, now I can go abroad. So when I come back from abroad, while the next play will be ready, I don't know what it is, I'm even thinking about it, I'll try to do a little bit of Polokwane, a little bit of Nelspruit, a little bit of the other provinces, Kimberley. Then I know that the journey of the story is complete. I can move next. Apart from that, it's just the movies. Just going to Hollywood and come back and not boast about it.
Just a trip to Hollywood.
And not boast about it.
Of course. Dr. Kani, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us in our studios and sharing with us all your great ideas with regards to Kunene and the King. And we wish you well at the State Theatre.
See me at the State Theatre. Thank you.